It's the Introvert Dating Success Podcast, the show for introverted men that's all about learning how to attract beautiful women and still get your precious alone time. And now, here's your host, dating coach and fellow introvert, Harry Wilmington.
Hey guys, just checking the audio here. Make sure you can hear me. Perfect. Great. Hi guys. Welcome to the Introvert Dating Success Show. I'm your host as always, Harry Wilmington. This is the show where you go to learn how to date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. Thank you guys for joining. And today we're going to be doing what we do as always, which is answering your questions. And in the process, we're also going to be talking about today's main topic, which is the 7 ways to effectively market yourself to women. I've had some interesting experiences in the last week as it pertains to certain types of marketing in the advertising world as it relates to trying to advertise to the female market at large. And in studying that, I realized that these particular companies really hone in on specific things that women are looking for in terms of convincing them to want to buy their stuff. And a lot of that stuff I find also correlates with what women are looking for in you if they're trying to choose you as a potential mate for them. So I want to go into what those things are and then the 7 ways that you can start to effectively better understand the people that you're marketing to, i.e. women, and how to effectively market yourself in a way that's going to make them choose you over all the other guys that are out there trying to get her attention. All right. So we're going to go into that. As always, guys, this show is about you. So if you have any questions during the course of the show that you want to ask about your own dating life or the main topic at hand, then you can leave that in the chat and I will get to it. Also, as you can see from the border around me, I have a new book that I put out on Friday. It's called Stop Losing Women, The Ultimate Guide to Dating the Women of Your Dreams. You can preview selections from that book by going to introvertdatingsuccess.com and clicking on the picture of this book on the front page. If you like that little snippet and you read through and you see the various bonuses that you get and think you'll like those as well, then I suggest you get it. But if nothing else, read the freebie sections because you'll still get a lot of great knowledge just out of reading those sections by itself. All right. So before we get into the main portion of the show, I first want to go through and answer a few questions from people that left comments on my various videos through the course of the past week. I did a show on Friday as well because of the book release, and I didn't do a show last Tuesday because I was sick. So this is a little bit of catch up, but I answered a lot of questions from the previous week on last Friday's show. So I still, even with that, still have quite a few questions I can answer for you guys. All right. Love this thing. Anyway, so let's go ahead and get into it. These are actually some shorter questions that I got, but I like answering short questions or long detailed questions because either way, it allows you guys to get some knowledge. So let's get into this first guy's question. So this guy had a question that he left in the comments, and the question was, how do we deal with it if we're dating a super hot party girl who is openly dating other guys and doesn't want to be exclusive? I'm struggling with jealousy, even though she sees me anytime I want when she's not partying. Well, here's the honest truth, guy, is that this woman is to be applauded for actually telling you up front what her agenda is. So if you get mad at her agenda after she's already told it to you and you think that you're going to change her agenda just because you're such a great guy, you're going to be disappointed because she's told you up front, you know, by observation, she's a party girl. She's mentioned she's openly dating, which means, spoiler, she's not just going out for dinner and tea. She's probably banging these guys that she's going out with. And she's not trying to be exclusive, meaning at this moment in time, she does not want to be locked down. She told you all this up front. She didn't hide it from you. So at this point, if you're choosing to continue to conversate with her and connect with her, then you have to do that knowing that she spelled out her agenda for you. And no matter how great you are, you're not going to change that. And as guys, we like the challenge. We like to think, you know what? Sure, she's got 10 or 12 other suitors or guys she's banging, but you know what? I'm such a great guy. I bet I can convince her that I'm going to be the only person she wants to be with. And right now, you're not going to be that guy. And honestly, you could hypothetically be that guy, but you trying to force the agenda of her to change her ways is going to make you less of that guy, because women don't like dudes that come along and try to, give them ultimatums and say, hey, party girl, stop partying. Hey, all those other guys you're seeing, you need to stop seeing them because I'm so great. Like, that does not exude masculine energy. and it makes you look whiny and needy and desperate, and she's not looking for that. So again, she told you what she wants. If that's not what you gel with, then you have to be realistic with yourself and say, you know what? As much as I enjoy doing what we do when we get together, I want something more serious, and this isn't going to be her. So I got to be out if you're looking for something serious. A lot of guys like live in that space of, well, I'll just hook up with her while I'm waiting for something serious to come along. And here's my thought about that. I think if you're in that time of your life where you're like, I can hook up with other people while I'm on the hunt for that one or whatever, then that's fine for you to do. But in my personal life, I found that doing that, it's very hard to concentrate on, I'm going to focus on this person that doesn't want me while I'm focusing on somebody who does want me. Like, those are two different agendas. And because they're two different agendas, you're going to be doing different things. And sometimes those things can cross and not work out for either party. So my suggestion, if you're mad that she's not trying to slow down and commit, that indicates to me you're looking for a girl that's going to slow down and commit. This is not her. You need to back off. So hopefully this helps you out. Let's see. Moving on to the next person here. This person had a comment and he said, "Hi, Harry. I've been going out with my girlfriend for 2 years and she has started to pull back. I feel she's been pulling away for some time now. We had a short break and haven't seen each other in person in 6 weeks. How do I redress this balance without seeming all needy, or should I just bail?" Well, I'll be honest, 6 weeks, if she's gone 6 weeks without reaching out to you, that would, in my world, tell me all I need to know. Because women that highly like you and that's your girlfriend would legitimately be trying to connect with you and trying to see you and trying to plan dates and outings to get together. The fact that she hasn't done that, one or two things are happening. Either she's not interested in you anymore, or there's a small chance that she's thinking, as the guy, if you wanted to see her, you would reach out at some point. But I don't know what your guys' communication style was. I don't know if you were over texting or not texting enough or whatever, but 2 years, and then she suddenly goes from like being your girlfriend and talking to you quite regularly to suddenly just like pulling back. I would need more details about your situation. Did an incident arise where she felt you were at fault? Did she have any like males around her that she might find more interesting or attractive? Like, I would need to know more details, but all I can go with is what I have. And that for me is this, is that if she hasn't reached out, then effectively it's over until she reaches out. You could try to do one more like, alley-oop where it's like, hey, just a long time no see. I think we should meet up and, have a chat or go to dinner or whatever, and see how she responds to that. If she responds to that message and you guys go out, great. If she doesn't respond, or she says something like, oh, I'm really busy, blah, 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 that tells you everything you need to know. But yeah, 6 weeks, that's a long time. Anyway, moving on to the next question. I had a comment that was left under my 3 things she's feeling when she ignores you video. And in all my videos, when I answer people's questions or I go into details about these are the reasons that women have these reactions when you're doing these certain things, and then these are how you actually remedy that. I'll give out tips and tricks that you can do to ideally let her see that you're not so needy and she'll not pull back so much. And so oftentimes when I'm giving this advice, I say things like, if she's pulling back, you want to match her and pull away a little bit yourself, or lessen your texting, or it might be that you were showing up too much and so she needs a break from you and you got to give her that break, and all these other things, right? So anyway, so this guy commented, and whatever I said in that video as a solution, he said, "This is pathological. It's insane. Only way you're not going to have a bad time with women is to just literally not care about women." Now, what I tell you guys in the show is that it's not about not caring for a woman. It's about the level of care you're currently giving to her during the dating phase. And it's about you being indifferent so she can see that you're not going to be rattled if she decides to up and leave, because both of those things are threats to women. Now, in reference to the time thing, you have to understand that in terms of caring about her and stuff, it's not that you don't need to care, but what men typically do is they're showing way too much care early on. They essentially start going into boyfriend mode after 2 or 3 dates and a good hookup. And I tell you guys, it takes 2 to 3 months for a woman to solidify her feelings. I say that on almost every freaking show. So if you're not giving her those 2 or 3 months, then what you're doing is you're trying to show all this care for her. And the care that you're trying to show is showing all these emotions, trying to overreach and overextend yourself for her, which to her feels like boyfriend actions. And if she's not there yet, then it feels like too much. So this is why you're supposed to be either matching or actually going slightly slower than her in terms of the level of attraction and feelings that you're putting out there. Now, again, oftentimes men don't like to hear that because they think I'm not being honest. And I'm actually putting together a show which kind of expands on a point I made on last week's show, basically talking about how ultimately, guy, your level of interest and your feelings, it does not matter. All that matters is where she's at in her emotional journey and if she's ready to step forward based on where she's emotionally at. Your emotions, whatever you express, are going to feel like they're too high too soon. So this is why it's better for you not to not care, but to know that you're caring enough to where you're asking her out, and you're paying for her meals when you go on dates, and you're giving her good hookups, all right? All these things will indicate to a woman that you probably have some level of care for her, but not knowing that level completely is what's going to keep you in the game. So that's the first part. The other part is being indifferent, and I'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. But again, the more indifferent you can be to outcomes. Like a woman wants to feel like you care enough about her to want her around, but not so much that you're going to stab her if she decides that this is not for her. And this is also why showing too much emotion in the beginning freaks women out, because when you're doing that, she's not going to know how, she all she's going to feel is like whatever heightened level of emotion you have for her, it makes her feel like this might be a dangerous scenario because God forbid, if she's dating 2 or 3 other guys at this time, for example, and she chooses guy number 2 and you're currently guy number 1, and she's like, I don't want to deal with guy number 1 anymore. Well, the overbearing feelings you're putting out there is going to make it feel like this is now a dangerous game. And so this is not about not caring about women, but it is about simply understanding their feelings and emotions, which we'll also get into a little bit later in the marketing section. But needless to say that the stuff that I'm giving you guys to do is based on research and my own personal experience and understanding that, oh, when I was doing these things as a dater, I was getting these kind of results, and these results were bad. So if I start doing these things over here, I was getting better results. I'm going to keep doing these things. And you can be mad at how women are reacting to you based on how you're coming at them. But at the end of the day, all she cares about is how's this guy making me feel when I'm interacting with him? And if he's making me feel too much, I'm not going to feel good and I'm going to go away. And so you have to know the steps and you have to know what methods to use in order to make women feel comfortable enough to want to stay around long term. It just is what it is. Let's see. We have one more comment here that I'm going to get to real quick. And this is a comment that was left under my pull away test video. And this guy said, pulling away as a test is a weird behavior. Imagine a guy doing that. It would be an instant red flag. It would raise 50 questions, suspicions, and frustrations in a woman. And you know what? I do not disagree. I believe that if you as a guy were implementing some of the tactics that women do in terms of pulling away, that yes, she might have questions. She might grow suspicious because she doesn't know quite what you're doing or why you're pulling away or what she did or whatever. And she might be frustrated. I got news for you though. None of those things would make a woman's attraction less for you if she had high interest. And I think that's the disconnect that men have between the things I advise men to do and the things that women are trying to do, is that they feel as though if they start implementing some of the things that I say they should do, the reactions they're going to get from women are going to be, oh my God, that's not fair. Or why is it being so mysterious and yada, yada, yada. And you have to understand the things that work to attract women aren't going to always work for men. And so men think because it wouldn't work on them, it's not going to work on women. And the things I'm talking about work on women because, again, they're going to make decisions based on their emotions and feelings about things, right? So if a woman has high interest, right, you could go away for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, not call her, not text her. And then as soon as you hit her up and ask for a date, she's all giddy and ready to talk to you, regardless of how she felt during the interim. She could have been frustrated. She could have wondered what she did wrong, where you were at, why you were playing games with her. All her emotions care about, though, is, but this guy is still talking to me, and I'm glad he's back. And you can talk to women about this all day, and they will fight you on it. They will say, that's not true, because you'll hear women say this, well, if he didn't text me every single day, I'd leave. I've been in situations where I didn't text women for 2 or 3 days at a time, and when I connected with them, we still went out, had a good time, hooked up, and repeat. So that's why when I tell you guys things like wait in between dates to text women, I know you're thinking, but she's going to get mad. She might be mad. Her being mad is separate from, but how does she think about this? There are plenty of women out there that stay with guys they're fighting with all the time, are mad at, are abusing them, etc. Why do they stay? because their emotions are involved. Now, I don't want you to be obviously that abusive guy, but I want you to understand that her emotions are running the show. So that's why you can wait a few days to text her and she'll still want to see you. Or you can wait a few weeks between you took her on a first date and a next date. And if she has like interest, she's going to want to see you. Yes, she can be frustrated all day. Doesn't take away from her emotion. She could be having a bunch of questions in her head about, why isn't he texting me? Can I trust him now? What does this mean? Doesn't take away from her emotions. She could be frustrated and say, oh, he took me on this date and then he didn't call me for a week and a half. Oh my God. It doesn't take away from her emotion. As long as her emotions for you are still there, then you can do all these various things I talk about and she's still going to want to be with you. That's just how it is. So hopefully this helps you out. So before we get to the meat of the show, I put together a little video today because I was on TikTok and I was looking at all these people doing these various like rap challenges and stuff. And so I saw one that was up and I was like, I want to do that challenge, but I want to do it in relationship to dating. So here's what I put together today. We'll be right back. Hey, yo, let me show you how to approach these ladies when you out there trying to do your thing, homie. Hey. Let's go! So you see a little cutie with a body and you want to step away. And you know if you don't, you be hating yourself, but you don't quite know what to say. No. And I get it can be a little frightening. So nervous that it can be stifling. But I want to help you come out on top, see? What? Here's how you're going to start, G. When you see a girl, you need a little swagger, do a little banner, make her laugh a little. When you see her giggle, you know if she fiddle with it, her she feel you, and you just continue doing what you're doing until she's going da-da-da-da-da-da. Then you're going to flirt a little bit and ask her things about her life, about her dreams. You got to ask a lot of things to make it clear that you want to get to know the full extent of who she is. You ask her again and again and then again. And she be thinking you're the best, and she be looking in your eyes, and she be feeling on your chest, and everybody in a circle, they become irrelevant, because all this how they want to do is for you, bang her to death. You might bang in the sheets or bang up on her desk, she might do a little more, she might just give you a kiss, be to the way, let you know that the shorty was impressed, and hard to figure out what's next. Let's go. Say you gotta leave, but before you leave a place, let her know you want a number while you staring in her face. Now she giving you the digits, not because you didn't fidget later, or you're gonna call her up and ask her on a date. See, it's simple, you ain't gotta mac it, you just gotta let her know what's happening. If you do these steps, I promise, dude, you're gonna bag it. So yeah, that's on TikTok. That's it. That was half my day today. Anyway, so before we get to the main crux of the show, I actually have some questions in the chat that I'll be happy to answer. Starting with Unboxed Views. Thank you very much for the $5 super chat. I appreciate that. And so the question he has is, hey, coach, I have dated a girl for 4 months and we have been exclusive for 2 months. Okay. I just found out she is still talking with the guy she met 1 year ago in another country. Should I worry? It doesn't look good. Like, it depends on if it's the guy that she met and then was dating. If that's still happening, then I would say this is not good. But this is the example of this is the kind of thing that you try to vet before you get into a relationship. Now, granted, you say you just found out. So it also, she said you've been dating 4 months and you've been exclusive for 2. So that means after 2 months, you guys got into a relationship. I don't know who asked who. She could have asked you. You could have asked her. I typically tend to say wait a minimum of 3 months before you agree to a relationship. Like, women after 2 months might be ready for one, but I still typically wait till like 2.5 to 3 months. But part of that's because I want to do my due diligence. And then part of the getting into a relationship process when that conversation comes up is you start talking about things like, okay, so before I make this serious, just a few questions like, do you currently have social media? Are there any exes currently in the background that I should know about that you're talking to? I'm not going to go through your phone or anything like that. I'm going to trust you, but are there any guys whatsoever where you met him here or when you're on vacation? Are there any guys that you had any kind of fling with or flirtation with that I should know about that you're still in contact with? And then ideally she's going to answer truthfully and say, well, maybe there was just like one guy that I met a while ago, but he's in another country, blah, blah, blah. And then your response is, okay, that's great. Let's keep things as they are. Because as I tell you guys all the time, you're not going to try to force a woman to change up and not talk to these people, but you're going to say, like, that doesn't work for you. So if she wants to do that and that's her choice, that's totally fine. We're going to keep things the way they are. That way, you don't end up in a situation like this where you find out later on, oh my God, she's actually talking to other people. So I would say in this case, it's not a good look. If you found out, I don't know if you've talked to her about this guy in particular, but you could say, hey, who's so-and-so on the phone? See what she says about it and say, hey, so were you hooking up with him before or dating him? Like, what's the situation? And then let her explain what was actually going on. Based on her explanation, you can decide if that's something that bugs you and you want to ask her to like maybe not do that. Or you could say, okay, well, she said she's not with him anymore, not doing anything, that's fine, but I don't like it. Like, I typically try to date women that don't have exes that are consistently popping up in the background because I know that causes complications. And honestly, I also know that most women wouldn't want me being in contact with my exes. So I try to play a fair balance here. So the fact that she's not doing that is very concerning, So ideally you can talk to her about it, but it doesn't look good. That's all I'm saying. Another question in the chat here is, how should introverts vet a woman before committing to them? Well, it's kind of what I just told this guy, but you really want to this is why you should be taking the same 3 months that she's taking, because ideally in those 3 months, you're going to have time to see her in a variety of situations, how she's talking to waiters and servers, how she's talking about her family and friends, what happens if a little tiff comes up and she's not getting her way, like how she responded to you in that way. And so you have 3 months. You should never be rushing into a relationship. You should be taking the first 3 months of dating as a means to really scope out what she's about, what her temperament is, the kind of things that she's into, if they gel with yours or not. And then when it gets to month 3 and she's ready to have a dating conversation, you can say, hey, well, before we get into a relationship, I noticed X, Y, and Z. I noticed you talk to exes. I noticed you have social media where you put up all kinds of flirty pictures. Like, is that going to continue if we get into a relationship? And because it's better to bring it up now than to try to fight for these things after you get into the relationship, at which point, when you say yes to the relationship, you're basically saying yes to however she is. And so whatever you haven't discussed to get rid of at the point where you get into a relationship, it's going to be a lot harder to change those things. So, but basically you vet by being observant, seeing what behaviors you can or cannot accept. And then when you have the conversation, really talk about the things that you're wanting to be there and not wanting to be there, and seeing how she reacts to it. Because I'll tell you now, women that have bad reactions to stuff, it doesn't get better just because you're in a relationship. And this is also why I know guys get on me sometimes about I've mentioned at times there are ways you can go about testing women on certain things. And sometimes guys will be like, I don't want to test a woman and yada, yada, yada. Well, if you don't test for certain things early on, they're going to become bigger problems later in the dating thing. So you want to test her temperament. You want to test to see how she gets along with others, how she talks about people, because however she's doing those things to others, she's going to do to you once this becomes a real relationship. So you got to be mindful of that. So hopefully this helps you out. Okay. Let's get into the main topic of today's show. So let's talk about how to market yourself effectively to women. I want to talk about this because I had a couple of interesting situations pop up this week as I was out and about and as I was talking to women about things. And so a lot of it for this week had to do with women's advertising. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to pull up this thing on my screen. Okay, so I was at an outlet store this week, and I happened to walk into, I forget which store this is, but I walked into this store, and I saw this advertisement up, and it really frustrated me because if you'll notice, these are advertising jeans, right? But not just any jeans. If you look up here, let me see if I get this right. If you look up here, the branding for these jeans is that they are super skinny jeans, right? So I want you to look at the lady over here. This lady is 5'7", and she's wearing super skinny jeans, right? So this woman in the middle is 5'4", and according to this ad, she's also wearing super skinny jeans. And then we get to the third lady over here, and this third lady apparently is 5'4" and is also wearing super skinny jeans. Now you'll notice in terms of their actual body size, they're all very different sizes. And the woman on the right over here in particular is the largest of the sizes in this ad. And yet, according to how they're promoting this, all three of these women are wearing super skinny jeans. Now, I looked at this. I'm like, how is it that all these women are allegedly wearing super skinny jeans when their sizes are dramatically different? And so, as it was explained to me, is that the branding of the jeans is called super skinny jeans. And so they made it to where it's not about the size, it's about the style of jean. So the style of jean is called super skinny. And I was sitting there like, I really felt myself being a guy in this moment because I was like, as a guy, I am very literal with words, right? So the fact that they're calling these jeans super skinny jeans, and yet these women across here, only one of them is super skinny, and the other two have body sizes that are definitely not considered skinny by American standards. Why is it that a company would do this? And because again, as a guy, I'm thinking literally, right? But I had to look beyond that because I was getting really frustrated with that. And I looked beyond that, okay, but what is the company actually trying to do? And what they're trying to do is they are tapping into the root of how a woman wants to feel about herself and what she's wearing. And so these women want to be able to go out to the world and say, I am wearing a super skinny jean. Now, they don't have to say, that they themselves are super skinny, as indicated by the girl on the right here. But the point is that she wants to be able to partake in something on her person being super skinny. So she can go out there and say, yeah, I'm wearing these super skinny jeans. Subconsciously, it's making her feel as though she is now able to partake in the wearing of skinny jeans, even though she herself is not skinny. It's a very interesting concept that I looked at, and I was just like, even though it doesn't make sense, from a marketer's perspective, they're trying to tap into how women feel about themselves stylistically in order to promote their brand and to get women to buy more stuff. And I was like, that's very interesting. So then the other conversation I had this week was I learned that in terms of women's underwear, like when you go to Victoria's Secret and you go to these various shops, that women have seasonal underwear. Now, as a guy, this doesn't make sense to me because I'm like, I've been going to the store since I was a kid. Hanes and all these other underwear companies that make underwear for guys, it's literally like in a plastic bag. It's hanging up on a wire somewhere, and it's been in the same packaging forever. There's no season to underwear. Like I can buy black underwear, gray underwear, green underwear all year long. There's never going to be a stoppage that says, oh, we're out of black underwear for the season. Like that's not even a concept in my head, right? But for women's underwear, they legitimately sell seasonal underwear. So they have underwear that's now going out of style because summer's over, and they're trying to get rid of all those underwear to bring in the seasonal underwear that's going to be coming for the fall. And I'm sitting there like, why are they selling seasonal underwear? Like, again, I'm thinking like a guy. This makes no sense because it's underwear. It's going to be under the person. The woman's not going to be flashing this underwear over town. So the only person that's going to see it is her. So why would she need to buy underwear seasonally? And then like, is she not going to wear her summer underwear in the fall? Like, what's that about? And again, thinking like a guy, I had to get out of that mode and start thinking about, okay, but if I'm the company and I'm selling underwear to women and I'm trying to think about what is it that women care about that would make them want to get underwear seasonally. And what I came up with in my guy mind is that women are constantly about change, about not being stagnant, about the feeling of like when they put on a thing of clothing, it's going to make their whole body feel a certain way. So it can't just be about what they're wearing for their shirts or their pants. It has to matter also what's on the underside, because even though nobody else can see it, they can see it. They can feel it. They know the texture that's rubbing up against their skin that's making them feel more feminine and going out there, presenting themselves to the world in a certain way. And so advertisers and marketers have tapped into, okay, women want to be able to feel like they can change up stuff, that they're in style, that this outfit's going to make them exude sexiness and where they can feel it. And so we got to sell that to them. And thus, seasonal underwear. Now, it's fascinating, right? Because as a guy, we don't think about these concepts. We don't think about like all these various things that women are looking to in order to have them feel a certain way or whatever. But that's what I want to talk about is that you as a guy, if you're going out in the dating world and thinking like a guy and what a guy's needs would be and what logically makes sense in order for you to feel attracted, and then you're trying to project that onto women, then you're going to fail. Because a lot of things that we need, it's not really a lot. Like guys are all about like, oh, I don't need drama, but why do women need drama all the time? I don't need drama. I'm totally fine. We use that as an example, right? So for example, men don't typically need drama. We're like, if everything just stayed calm, cool, and collected, we'd be totally great. But yet even women that say they don't want drama, they're watching dramatic shows, or they are in fact themselves getting into drama on a regular basis. But why is that? And the reason for that is because there is a need women have to be able to feel emotions and to feel a wide spectrum of emotions. Like if you're in a relationship, even if you as the guy are not doing anything wrong, if you ask a woman on any given day how her day was, she'll go through, oh, well, I got up this morning and I was worried about the kind of makeup I was going to wear. And then I had to think about my boss doing this thing. But then I had this really happy moment when I saw a puppy. And I was so happy about that. And then it made me think about like my uncle that just passed away. And I was so sad. But like a woman will go through in a conversation all the emotions that she allowed herself to feel that day. And a guy can just be like, my day was totally fine. Went to work. Came back home, ate food. It was great. And that's how we like it, you know? But that's an example of if you know that women like drama, then you can figure out how to tap into that in a healthy way, but in a way that still allows her to feel all these emotions. So I just want to kind of go over for you to start off with how I'm going to go over these 7 ways that you can market yourself to women better. Because as you start to get a grip on the things that women are actually wanting, then you can find ways to be able to do that in a way that is natural to you, because we don't want you to completely change who you are, but you can really tap into maybe some of the things that you've been wanting to tap into, but haven't because you felt it would be toxic masculinity or women wouldn't really like that or whatever. And so as you know these things, you'll start to show up more efficiently and effectively for the women that you're trying to date. All right. So here's how this works. The first thing you need to do, let me get a drink first. All right. So let's get into how to market yourself to women. The first thing you need to do to start better marketing yourself to women is to really study the market. All right. You need to start tapping into what it is that the women that you want in a man. And I know guys have been asking for years, oh my God, what do women want? We can't figure it out. Guys, women are really actually easy to figure out. They might want a few more things than us, but they're generally the same thing across the board, and they become easier to understand as you start to really do research, right? So you got to study the market. What do the women that you want in a man? And for one thing, you need to know the things that women want to feel from the men that they're dating. So examples of that would be masculine strength. Women want to feel your masculine presence, your masculine energy. They understand that you're stronger than them. They want to feel that strength. They want to be able to see it displayed. That's an example of something that women want to be able to see from you. Also calm. They are going to have storms in their head all the time and be nervous about things and apprehensive. And they're looking for the guy that they're with to be that steady rock, which means you got to be calm. So even in the midst of her having drama, she wants to be able to look to you to see that everything's okay, or that if maybe she is in fact tripping and that things aren't as bad as she's making it out in her head. She's looking for your guidance and leadership. This is why women don't typically like to date guys that seem anxious or nervous, because even though it doesn't look like it to you, on the inside of her, trust me, most women on average are typically anxious, nervous, not too sure of themselves about things. Even boss babes that have to make decisions all day go home. And if you see them and see that they're married, and you can talk to their spouse and be like, oh yeah, she came home and had this thing at her job she had to figure out. And we went through a whole conversation about what she was worried about and her concerns and blah, blah, blah. Like that is a consistent thing. Even almost the most confident women will still have a lot of anxieties or nervousness that they're looking for you to be able to, they're looking to be able to go to you to get that calm when they're all nervous about stuff, you know? So even though they're looking for you to be calm, they're also looking for you to be adventurous, because I don't think that you need to be a guy that's causing drama to make her feel highs and lows. You being an adventurous guy where you're taking her on trips and you're taking her paragliding and you're taking her zip lining and you're doing new exciting things that she's not too sure about at first, but you're walking her through it. Those are also ways to positively give her a roller coaster of emotions. So she looks for guys that are adventurous. Women are looking to feel desired by their partner. I think the problem a lot of nice guys have is they think, okay, I don't want to be talking about sex with her because God forbid she thinks I'm all about that. So I'm not talking about it at all. And you forget that part of women feeling sexy and confident is being with a partner that finds them sexy. And if you're not at all alluding to the fact that you might want to possibly do some things of a carnal nature with her outside of just this dating process, then yeah, believe it or not talking about those things can also be a way to lose women. And we don't want you to do that. And also, a woman wants to be able to feel respect for her emotions, because too many women have been in this situation where they'll go to the guy that they're dating and they'll mention some kind of emotion. Oh, I'm really excited about going to this Taylor Swift show. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy I got this brand new makeup in the mail today. And the guy look at them like, you're excited about makeup? You're excited about Taylor Swift? Like, oh my God. And when women hear that from you, understand that now she cannot trust her emotions with you, because everything she's throwing at you, in your guy-centric head, you're thinking this little girly stuff, why is she so excited? And it's because it's girly stuff, because she's trying to be feminine. You getting on her for trying to be feminine, I guarantee you that's not what women want to feel. Women want to feel celebrated for being feminine, and they don't want to be made to feel like they're being made to be silly. They also want a partner that can empathize with them. Like, even if you can't feel all the emotions she's having in her moments where she's maybe expressing disappointment or sadness, she wants you to at least be like, oh babe, hey, I understand, I've been there myself. Like, women want to feel that from their guy. So you as the guy have to know that women want to feel these things from you in order to then add them into your repertoire when you're going out there. That's just the first thing, right? So then the second thing that you need to do to better market yourself to women is to understand what actually drives a woman to make certain decisions, including decisions about her love life. So again, we go back to the underwear example, the seasonal underwear. It's not even about the underwear themselves. It's about the fact that underneath that, women want to feel stylish. They want to feel young, and being young means keeping up with current trends, which means keeping up with the brand new underwear. And it expresses also her need for change. In a woman's typical life cycle, there's going to be a lot of changes. She's going to go from a young girl to like growing all these kind of parts, to then having a period, to then growing people inside of her, to then starting to get old and age. And so women are constantly trying to prepare for the next season of their life and the next change that's coming. Her being with a guy that's not about those things or is going to make fun of her for it is not really tapping into the fact that part of what motivates her decisions is the fact that these things are coming and that she wants to experience these things, right? Another thing, oftentimes it's about wanting to also feel that she's not different from everybody else. We go back to the jeans example, which I'll pull up real quick again. If we go back to the jeans example, this woman over here on the right, the company that's advertising understands that she wants to also be able to feel like she's part of the skinny jeans conversation. So many women that I've seen before that are bigger women have expressed, oh my God, I wish I could wear skinny jeans. And a company caught on and said, you know what? We're going to make that happen. We're going to brand our style of jean as skinny jeans. And that's going to be the thing that draws in women. And you know what? It's working because those jeans are selling. So you have to understand that in terms of a woman's motivation for things, she's going to be wanting to, feel needed. She's going to want to, she's looking for making decisions based on how her life's going to change. She wants to be the same as everybody. And that also comes to her love life, because there are women out there right now that are single that are like, you know what? If any guy would just come along and just talk to me regular, I would choose him, because they're at the point in their life now where it's like, I'm going to make a decision based on the fact that I don't want to be alone anymore. And all my girlfriends that I used to hang out with are now starting to start families and have kids and get married. And that's not me. And so at that point, it's not about a woman necessarily like changing her standards, but she could be more realistic. She could start saying, man, if a guy would just come along and treat me well and do whatever, then I'd be happy to make that decision. Unfortunately, most guys come along and do the same old playbook. They're talking too much on dates. They're not respecting her boundaries. They're talking about sex a whole lot on those first few dates. They're overextending themselves by texting too much and calling too much and trying to ask for a relationship after 2 or 3 dates. And unfortunately, you doing all those things are not going to drive her to make those decisions, because another thing she has to do is trust you. Like, trust is the big factor in a woman deciding if she wants to be with you. And we think, well, if we go on 2 or 3 dates, that's enough time for her to see that she can trust me. Women need 2 to 3 months. And so her decision to date you is going to come at that time based on the evidence that she's seen from you in the prior 3 months. And based on that, be able to decide if she can in fact trust you. So if you're not giving her that time, then you're really cutting into a major part of her decision-making process. And that's not fair to her. So with that said, the third way to start marketing yourself better to women, you need to become more indifferent to a lot of things. You need to become indifferent to whether or not she sees you or not. You need to become indifferent to how she feels when she expresses something to you that's emotional for her. Like, oh my God, you hurt my feelings the other day. Like, dudes hear that and get their feelings all hurt. Like, oh my God, I wasn't trying to hurt your feelings. How dare you? I was trying to show up for you like this, blah, blah, blah. And it goes back to, that indicates that you take things too personally and you're not being indifferent. Now, some people assume when I say that, it means that I'm telling you not to care about anything. It is not that. What I'm actually trying to get you to do is to have an understanding that you letting all these things bother you isn't in the best interest for you or the relationship. Because think about this. Women want to be able to trust you enough to where they can come to you and say, hey, something you did bothered me the other day. I want to talk about it. And most dudes get into their ego and start saying, but I was doing the best I could, and I was attempting to do this when I showed up for you in this way. And how you were trying to show up and how she felt you showed up are going to be 2 different things. If you are butthurt every time a woman that you're dating comes to you and says you hurt her feelings or she wants to talk about something, then you're going to lose out. And so as the guy of the 2 of you, and to be fair, if women were more different to the things, that'd be absolutely great. But of the 2 of you, you need to learn to be more indifferent. Because here's another thing too. For the purposes of her being able to feel like she can self-express around you and be her true self around you, it behooves you to be indifferent. Women want to feel like they can open up to you and they can be their authentically true selves that they feel they have to mask for the rest of the world. And so for the first 2 months of dating, you might get like the prim and proper her. But at some point, you're going to go over to her house and she's going to fart in front of your face by accident. And she's going to want to do that as a test to see like if he's going to freak out and react or if he's going to like shame you for having a natural bodily function. In that moment, you have a decision to make. Do you react and be like, oh my God, you fart. That's such a masculine thing, blah, blah, blah. Or do you just be like, okay. The second reaction, that is indifference. That's you saying to her, I mean, hey, you're human. We all fart. It is what it is. You know, she shows up one day and her hair got messed up with the hairstylist, but you guys have a date and she decided to keep the date, but now she's wearing like a wrap around her head. And later on you see her head and like it's half shaved. Are you going to freak out? Because if you do, that's not her being able to be her true self in that moment. And she's going to feel some kind of way about that and possibly pass on you. So in terms of marketing yourself to women, the more you're able to show that a lot of the things she's going to bring to the table that would be bothersome for other guys isn't going to bother you as much, or reactions she has to things are going to allow you to be indifferent, then that's going to let her know that you are now a safe space that she can go to, and it's going to actually make her more attracted to you. All right. Caveat, obviously, we don't want you being cool with things about her that are toxic. All right. Hopefully you can differentiate between that. Let's see. The fourth way to market yourself to women is to highlight your strengths. In those first 3 months of dating, this is your time to shine. This is your time as your representative to go out there and give women the best version of you, about the best versions of your story, where you're at in your journey in life, how your dating life's been going up to this point, the things that you're striving to be, the goals you have. You need to be giving her the best highlight reel, because in terms of marketing yourself, women want to know that you have good stuff going on in your life. Good, positive stuff is going to make her feel like you're a good, positive person. Negative stuff is going to make it feel like you're going to be quite the drag. Now, the problem that men have with this is we want to be all honest. We want to be honest with every single facet of our life from date one. We want to talk about that divorce we just went through and how our ex was a B word and how she took the kids. We want to talk about how our job is treating us horribly and we just are getting walked on all over at the job. Women are on dates to have fun. Women are dressing up and putting on makeup and smelling good and putting on sexy lingerie underneath their dress that you may or may not see. And they're doing all this because they want to have good vibes on this date. You want to come on there and be all honest and say, well, actually, my life's a crap show, but I hope you still want to date me. And if you're trying to market yourself in a positive way, then that means that you're going to put on the highlight reel. And hey, women are doing it too. Those first 2 to 3 months, you're going to get the best show from them. So recognize in those first 3 months, both of you guys are putting on a show. You're putting on the I'm trying to put my best foot forward show, which is actually needed. It's beneficial because there's going to be a point in the actual relationship where you guys are going to have a disagreement or an argument of some kind, and you both need to be able to reflect back to, but I know this person is generally like this. I had 3 months of them like this. I'm going to assume they're mostly like this. So you creating a positive first impression now is going to benefit you later as something she's going to go back to as that's the real him. We're just going through a tiff. We can eventually get back to that version. You guys that are trying to be all honest with your negativity early on, you can do that. You're not going to keep women. Again, I got a book called Stop Losing Women. You want to keep women around. You want to show your best self early on and recognize that she needs that in her psyche to always have a positive viewpoint of you to start from. All right. So do her a favor and do yourself a favor. Because honestly, guy, you probably want to point out all these negatives. You're probably great. You probably have a lot of good stuff going on in your life that even if you're not aware of it now, you need to get into the exercise of really looking at where you're at and then pulling out positives. I used to think back in the day, like, oh, I'm such a weird guy. Women want to date me because I don't have a car. I don't have a good job, blah, 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 right? At the point where I started saying, okay, wait, let's just sit down. What positive things are there about you? Well, you're emotionally intelligent. You have a good personality. You know how to make people laugh. You're funny. You are creative. Like, I started just focusing more on those things. And then when I was on dates, I would just highlight those things. Oh, I'm a great drawer. I'm a great artist. I got artwork back in my place that I painted, like this picture back here. I painted that. Like, yeah, if you focus on the positives, you'll feel more buoyant and vibrant on these dates. The woman that you're with will have a positive outlook about you. And then lo and behold, you can get a girlfriend. Real talk, guys. The fifth thing you need to do in order to better market yourself to women is focus on your personal branding. Because I'll be honest, guy, we want to think we can go out there and get every single girl. And some of you Don Juans out there can, but not every girl is built for you. And so what that means is that you have to really know yourself well, know the things that you're into, know what kind of style you like, know what kind of music you like, know what drives you in life, and then really try to focus on women that are about that, because how you dress is important, how you smell is important, the stuff that you listen to and watch is important, and all those things create an aura of your personality. And some women are going to gel with your personality and some aren't. Even the ones that will give you like an early hookup, right? You might have women that might give you that early hookup, and then after 2 or 3 dates, they don't want to see you because they realized, oh, this guy, in terms of a long-term prospect, doesn't really actually gel with my sensibilities, even though he's for a fun time, but just not a long time. And so I want you to be able to get with women that are going to see you as a long time. So really hone in on what your style is going to be, how you're going to present yourself to the world. On this show, back in the day, I was just wearing any old kind of t-shirt. And now I wear collared shirts. I wear these shirts specifically because it's like, it exudes a style. You guys can come in here and say, I know the style that Harry's going to have based on the feeling tone of the show. And because I want my show to have a certain feeling tone, that means being more stylistic, learning to pace in my speech a little bit better, knowing how to show up, knowing how to decorate my atmosphere. Like all these things that you're looking at are branding. But if you like this branding, you keep coming back to the show. If women like your branding, they will keep coming back to you. But you got to really tap into what that is. Now, if you get my book, Stop Losing Women book, one of the freebies that comes with that is an interview I did with this guy named Anthony Centeno. And he talks about how to tap into your personal style so you can evolve it while still feeling like yourself. It's a great audio that I've included free with the book. So that's just a little promo for the book. If you get that free audio. It's amazing. And I think Antonio Centeno also has a website you can go to sign up for his stuff. It's absolutely great. But anyway, so that's the deal with personal branding. When you're able to personally brand yourself, women will have a better idea of what they're going to get when they first see you across the room or when they have a first conversation with you. And that makes it easier for the right women to choose you early on versus the guy that knows nothing about himself or just haphazardly grabbing at whatever straws he can to do whatever to get any kind of woman. That's true. Let's see. The sixth thing that you need to do to market yourself better to women is to become a more effective communicator. And this is pertaining to emotional communication, in terms of verbal communication, in terms of understanding women, like when they say certain things, what they're actually meaning or what their actions mean when they move a certain way or look at you a certain way. The more you're able to really get the knowledge of what all these things are, then women are going to understand you're a better communicator. When I was doing online dating, I went on so many first dates where women were telling me that I was the first person they'd actually gone on a date with out on an online dating platform. And when I asked why, it would just be, the answer would be like, well, it just seemed like our conversation really flowed and you just kind of, were asking questions about me and made me feel a certain way. And these other guys just weren't doing that. And that's because I was a bad communicator at one point. And so I had to spend years studying female communication and dynamics and understanding ins and outs of, why it is that when you say certain things during a conversation, it causes them to feel one way, negative, or when you say things in this certain style or in this certain tone or bring up these certain topics, that it makes them feel more connected to you. And so that's the game. The game is literally learning what communication styles gel well with women and then learning how to do that. And here's the interesting part too, is that you don't have to speak in a feminine tone or feminine way to have these conversations. Because again, as I said earlier, women want to feel that you're a masculine guy. So you can still ask them about things that as a female, they're going to want to talk about, but still do it in a masculine way. But if you don't know what those things are or what kind of emotions to tap into, again, from a masculine perspective, that are still going to make her feel like you're trying to connect with her and then allowing her to communicate with you in a feminine style and not judge her for it, then that's going to give you the results that ultimately you're looking for. And then that leads actually into the seventh way to better market yourself to women is to accept consumer feedback. Hey, you're going to go on some dates that don't work well. You're going to connect with some women that you date for a little bit and then they simply just ghost you, whatever. Or you might be with somebody in a long-term relationship and they're bringing things to your attention like, hey, I don't know if you're aware of this, but you do this and this and this thing, and it causes this thing to happen or causes me to feel this kind of way. And guys, again, they hear that, they get in their ego and get all hurt. Dude, when women are giving you, if women legitimately like come up to you and say, hey, so when you did this thing, this is how I felt. Or say you go on dates with a woman and then after like 3 dates, she stops saying yes to your dates. And when you ask her why, she's like, I'm just not feeling a connection, or that thing you said on that date just really made me think about whatever, or you came across this certain way when you did this action. Rather than getting butthurt by that, take the feedback in. Say, you know what? I didn't know I was doing that. I didn't know I was showing up in this way. I wasn't aware I had this kind of habit. And then add that to things you now know and are aware of about yourself that you can improve. Being in our own little bubbles, guys, we are very much biased towards ourselves, meaning we think everything we're doing is great. Every single way we're showing up is fantastic. And anybody that would dare say something different needs to be judged and thrown stones at, because how dare they think that I need work? But if you're able to take that feedback and say, you know what, let me get out of my ego and see if there's some merit to this. Oh my God, there actually is. I can improve these things. Then you'll be better for the next girl and the next girl and the next girl. And eventually you'll get to a woman where it's like, you have so much stuff figured out that she's going to be like, man, this guy has like no issues. Like, he talks to me well. He is able to emote with me and feel empathy for me. He doesn't laugh when I tell him about some silly girly thing. He's able to be there when I'm crying with him instead of making fun. And she doesn't realize that all the things that she likes about you are things that other women complain about that you are willing to fix. All right. So take the consumer feedback, see if it has merit. And I say that because I don't want you to, like, you have an ex-girlfriend that was toxic and she's saying, oh, you show up this way, blah, blah, blah. Sometimes it really is them. Sometimes the women are actually the problem. All right. But there's going to be some instances where you come across a great girl and you mess it up. If you can reach out and say, hey, I'm not trying to get you back. I just want to kind of know what ways can I show up better in my next relationship. And anytime I've been in a relationship that's ended, I've always tried to have the conversation of like, look, what can I do to improve or to be better? If I see that for sure it's not going to go any further than where it's at, I will say, hey, so just what can I be looking for the next time? And again, keep in mind, at this point, they're my ex. I still take that with a grain of salt, but I'm willing to listen and hear what they're saying. And then again, I'll go back and say, okay, does this have merit? Is she saying this stuff because she's just angry with me? Or are these things that I legitimately need to fix about myself? And sometimes it is actually stuff I need to fix, you know? So that's just some food for thought, but that's how you can start marketing yourself better. Because guys, ultimately, if you're going after women, if women is your market, then you always have to know what the consumer is after. And some of those things you might think initially, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be a guy that has to, be calm all the time. Why can't I be angry? Or why do I have to, what if I don't want to express sexy stuff and blah, blah, blah. Dude, you don't have to do anything you don't want to do. But if you're looking at your market and you want to like up in the market, then you really want to start looking at, okay, so then what realistically are women wanting in these relationships and how can I show up better? And if you do that, you'll be eons ahead of other dudes and you'll actually start to get women and you will stop losing women. By the way, you can check out free sections from my ebook, Stop Losing Women, at the website, introvertdatingsuccess.com. So be sure to check that out. All right. So now that the main portion is done, I have a few more minutes, so I'm going to go over a few other questions that I got over the course of the week. If you guys have any questions you want me to answer during the course of this part, leave it in the chat. I will be happy to answer it. Also, if you like this show, give it a like, give it a subscribe, and feel free to leave a supportive super chat. Anything you guys leave helps out immensely. All right, so let's go ahead and get to a few more questions. Let's see what we got here. Okay, so let's do this. I haven't done one of these in a while. So we're going to go over an actual a dating scenario that I found this question on Reddit, actually. So this is a dating scenario that a guy's going through where he can't see the various mistakes that he made. And this is what happens when you're out there in the world trying to figure out stuff by yourself and you're not asking people for help, which is why I highly recommend coaching, whether it's my coaching or somebody else's coaching or eBooks or whatever. Like, you trying to fix your own dating problem without anybody else's insight is going to leave you 10 steps behind, and you're not going to figure this stuff out. Because a lot of those mistakes that you're making, you're going to find as you study more are mistakes that you would have never considered mistakes had you not done the research. All right. So let's use this guy as an example. So he says, I just don't get what I'm doing wrong with these girls. I see an attractive girl while I'm out and about doing things. She's around my age and told me she's going to her second year in college. I bring her out to lunch, paid for her meal, and we talked about our backgrounds and what we occasionally drink. I told her how I felt about the way she looks. I told her she was a 10 out of 10, super attractive, and I loved the nose ring she had. She said thanks and took the compliment, but never complimented me on anything. I told her I wasn't prepared for the lunch meal and would love to take her out properly. I was wearing Vans, some beat up jeans, and a jacket, so I understood that there was nothing special about me that day. But when I got her Snapchat and texted her to set plans or come with me to a buddy's concert, she brought up that she had to go out of town and that her schedule was flooded. When I first asked when she was free and to let me know when she is, she dodged the question. During the whole lunch date, I did feel like I had a chance with her, but now I'm seeing maybe she was out of my league or something. She wasn't very responsive during the date, but she would laugh at my jokes and all that. All the time, I see girls that I wouldn't necessarily go for because maybe they just don't have the body shape that I'm looking for in a woman. But I can see them staring at me while I'm in the gym or on the bus and other public places. So I have absolutely no idea if the girls that I want have way too much abundance due to social media or dating apps, or if girls just see me as a mid-level cutie, a mid-level cute kind of guy. So the really hot girls aren't engaging with me. Can somebody help? So just listening to that, you may have no idea what this guy's doing wrong. You may be like, okay, so you met a girl and then they went out for lunch and then he tried to ask her out later and she said no, or she didn't respond back. And she said her schedule's flooded and I don't know what's going on. Where's the wrongness here, right? And if it had been me years ago, I'd have been in the same boat, like, what's going on? So let's go back through, because I wrote on this guy's page and I let him know exactly what it is that he's doing wrong. So I think I listed like 8 things here, right? So in me being an analyst of this stuff, here is examples of the stuff he did wrong, right? So for the first thing, he said, I brought her out to lunch and paid for the meal, right? So I said lunch dates. Lunch dates, they tend to lack romantic energy and can quickly make women feel as though you're more like a friend than a potential boyfriend. Because you got to look at, like, this goes back to like marketing to women. What are they looking for? They want the vibe to be romantic, right? So daylight lunch is not nearly as romantic as candlelit dinner. Fun fact, in a dim room, our pupils tend to dilate a little bit bigger. And it's the same way like with the baby's eye. That's why people want to take care of babies, because their eyes are dilated and they look all cute. So when you're doing a dinner in a place that has like dark lighting with a little candlelight or whatever like that, your eyes are actually opening up a little bit bigger, and that makes you look more attractive to women. So if you need any other reason to go on a dinner date instead versus a lunch date, that is one, is that lunch dates ultimately do not prove to be a very romantic setting. So you're already setting yourself up for failure by setting up a lunch date. Next thing I said is that he talked about her looks. He said to her, quote, I told her she was a 10 out of 10, super attractive, and women do not get turned on by you giving them a compliment, especially about their body, when A, they didn't earn that compliment because they were just born that way. And also when it's a compliment that so many other guys have told her. Like, I can assure you, this guy saying, you're so hot, you're a 10 out of 10, you're so attractive, is the same thing that she's probably heard from all the other guys in her entire life. But you know what I found to be effective is if you say something complimentary on her that is not related to anything that she's born with. So like, oh, hey, I got some really stylish shoes on there. Where'd you get them from? Like, giving a compliment and then asking about where they got it from. Now they've taken the compliment because it's, oh my God, he noticed something that I had to actually do in order to get this attractive thing. Like, I wasn't born with these shoes on. I had to go pick these shoes out specifically in order to get them. Oh my gosh. And then he's asking for a story about them. So now I get to talk about the journey of me getting these shoes. And so I get to share a story with him, and me sharing stories is how I connect with men. So yeah, you complimenting her looks, it doesn't make you stand out. Most hot women hear that all the time. So you guys, I don't care if you're going to these places where you're meeting these 10 out of 10 knockouts that are the finest thing you've ever seen. The biggest mistake you can make is to actually compliment her on it. Because again, she's hearing that from other guys. Instead, make it work for the compliment. You can say, oh, that's a nice shirt, oh, that's nice shoes, blah, 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 blah. Do not compliment her body at all. At some point in the dating line, when you're on a date, you can say, yeah, those curves like a dangerous road. But for those first few times, leave that to the wayside, all right? Those compliments do not help you at all. Another thing, I said negative rambling. So he said, keep in mind, he's paying for the meal. So he got her on the date. He's paying for the meal. She is not brought up at any time. Oh, you just took me out to lunch, blah, 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 blah. And yet, what is he going to do? He's going to complain and tell her, oh, by the way, I wasn't prepared to take you out to lunch today because I was thinking I went to do something else, but I had to make you settle for a lunch, my princess. No, even if you made the mistake of going on a lunch date, you do not apologize for the kind of date that you took her on, that you paid for, that you also were spending energy on. She should just be happy overall that a guy came along and felt good enough about her to want to take her out. And most women are there for the journey and for the enjoyment of company. But if you start pointing out the things you could have done better or that you feel like you did wrong, now she has to view it like that. Well, you know, when I was in school, I was a theater major, and one of the things that they taught us in theater is not to do, I just had the word in my head, is to, oh God, it's going to come back to me. I'll get back to that. But anyway, the point is you don't preemptively tell somebody that, disclaimers. They said in theater class, you don't give people disclaimers before you talk to them. So this would look like this. Me going to a woman and saying, hey, so before I talk to you, I know that I'm probably not normally your type because I'm like, 5'6" and you probably only date taller guys. So if this communication is bugging you at all, then you can stop talking to me. But anyway, I'm going to talk to you now. Like, you giving disclaimers means that person now has to look out for that disclaimer. So you saying, hey, by the way, I know this is just a meager lunch date and I could have done better. Now you basically told her how to feel about this. And you doing that and putting out that negativity, it's not going to make her be like, oh, that's okay that you didn't think this date wasn't good enough. You can do a better date next time. What they're going to think is, oh, this guy thinks he's a lame, and I think that too. So let's stop being negative about ourselves, guys. Stop pointing out negative things in general on dates. So continuing on, I also pointed out that he said that he didn't think he was special due to his clothing. So he said, I was wearing Vans, some beat up jeans, and a jacket. So I understood that there was nothing special about me that day. Well, I'll say I've definitely said on this show before that you need to really work on what your style is going to be. I just did a whole show talking about how you can better brand yourself. But again, even if you made the mistake of not doing that, you do not apologize. I don't understand this thing about guys trying to apologize for themselves on dates. Like, I know we think that women want to hear, I'm so sorry, but that's more like if you actually did something wrong. You taking her on a lunch date and not dressing your best is inherently not anything wrong you did. Should you have showed up that way? No. But that does not mean that you also apologize for it when you're in front of her. Whatever you decided to wear that day, she still said yes to the date. And again, if she's not saying anything verbally about it, even if she's in her head like, oh, it's interesting you chose that, you don't need to preemptively come out and say, oh, well, I know I could have dressed better, blah, 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 blah. Like, you need to be all about projecting confidence. Yeah, I showed up in a wrinkled shirt and in some short. I just finished playing basketball and I wanted to see you, so what's up? Like, that exudes masculine confidence versus, oh, I didn't wear the right thing. That displays feminine anxiousness. We do not need you doing that. Continuing, I said, so then the other mistake he made was like, as a date. Keep in mind, he got a Snapchat, and the next thing that he says is, hey, come with me to a buddy's concert. Now, what have I told you guys on the show time and time again? 2 to 3 months to solidify feelings. During the time that you're dating a girl, before she becomes your girlfriend, it should just be you and her. You do not go about trying to introduce her to friends or family members, all right? So the fact that this guy, his first offer to her was, hey, come with me to a buddy's concert. Now she's thinking, great, now I got to be on for him, and I got to be on for his friend, and I got to make a good impression in front of his friend, but I'm just trying to get to know him. That's a lot of pressure. The more pressure you're trying to add to a woman during the course of dating you, the less likely she's going to want to date you. And you trying to introduce her to friends and family early on is a thing that adds pressure. I know why you want to do it. You're thinking, well, I want to show her that I feel comfortable with her in my world, and so that means introducing her to my people. It does not mean that at all. Stop believing that. What it means is that you're trying to get kudos from your friends about this girl when this isn't the time to do that. So let's remove trying to ask her to come meet you along with your family and friends, all right? She can see how you are with other people when you're on dates talking to servers. She doesn't need to see that right now in the dating phase when it's just you and her, all right? Another thing he said is asking for a Snapchat and social media, because my thing is this, you're a grown-ass man, all right? Snapchat, Instagram, asking for alternative ways other than the phone to try to contact her. Honestly, in my opinion, this could just be my opinion thing, but it seems like it projects an era of a lack of confidence. Like, it's almost just saying, I'm not bold enough to straight up ask her for a number. So I'm going to try to get in the side door by asking for her social media and contacting her that way. And then I'll build up the courage to eventually get her number. Always go for the number. That is the most effective way and the most masculine energy leaning way to be able to project to a woman that you want to see her and that you're bold enough to do it. All right. All these trying to get her various social medias, it boils down to you're trying to get her contact info to ask her on an authentic date, all right? And she's going to be better receiving of that when you're asking her by way of directly messaging her. And I'm still the man that's like, hey, do it through a phone call. But I get it. We're in a texting age. Fine. Text her directly on the phone. Hey, great meeting you the other day. I want to take you out to such and such. You trying to go through all the social media. Where here's the other thing too. With social media, she might get the indication that part of that is you want to be able to look at her and see her pictures and stuff when she's not around. And subconsciously, guys, that's very creepy. Like, I know you're thinking, well, I want to be able to add her to my social media, which you should be doing in the first 3 months anyway. But I want to add her to my social media and I want to be able to see what her life's about, her stories and this and that. But subconsciously, that's basically saying, I want to peek in her window and look at her. And I don't think even women are aware that subconsciously that's how they're taking it in when a guy's saying, oh, I checked out your social media the other day. Because eventually you're saying, hey, when you weren't aware, I was looking at you. Think about how that feels to women. Do women like guys looking at them that they're unaware of? Not really. So when you're trying to suggest getting her social media, it can convey the same type of feeling. Even if a woman thinks that she's cool with it, it still conveys that feeling. So be a man, ask for a number, call her. If you can't call her though, text her for the date. Don't do all this social media bull crap, all right? Another thing I said also texting. For you guys, I say this all the time. Texting kills attraction. Yes, you can get a date by texting, but real men are bold enough to pick up a phone and call. And yes, it is 2023 as this recording. Women will still pick up their phone for a guy that they find attraction to and want to get a date from, all right? And then last thing I said is him saying, I asked her when she was free and to let me know when she is, and she dodged the question. That is that sets up the idea that her time is way more valuable than yours. And by doing that, you're putting her on a pedestal. Women don't like to be put on pedestals because it puts them in the leadership position in the relationship. And I found in my personal dating journey that women want men to wear the pants and they want men to contact them and ask them for dates. So what you do is this: as a guy, when you're asking a woman out, you say, hey, so I want to take you out. I'm free on this day or this day. Let me know what works for you. Then she's getting a choice, but you've confined it to these are the 2 days that work best for me. Choose one. Now, if neither of those work, they'll either come back to you and say, neither of those days work, but I can work this day instead. That's if she's interested. If she's not interested, she'll say, neither of those days work. And then at that point, she's probably not interested. Now, even with that, you don't say, okay, well, hit me up whenever. You say, okay, great. You know what? That's fine. I'll hit you up some other time. I'll be the one to reach out to you again to ask when you're free at a different time. And then you wait about a week, hit her up again. Hey, just wanted to see if this Tuesday or Thursday would work for you for this outing. Let me know. Now, at that point, if she comes back to you again and says, oh, those days don't work, now you know you got a person on your hands that's not interested. Because if you've asked her out twice and both times she couldn't figure out that either of those times work for her, then it's probably a no-go. But for you to be like, I'll let you know whenever. Let me know whenever you're free. Again, it sets you up as the guy that's going to be waiting by the phone for her to call you up, which women don't like. And also, you're giving her the reins to choose when this date's going to happen. And you want to try to keep as much control of that as possible. So you should be the one saying, hey, let's go out. She says you can't make it. Then you say, hey, you know what? No problem. I'll reach out to you later. I'm out. And then you decide when you're going to reach out. But this whole you let me know what day and time you're free, and then I'll be sure to only hit you at that time for a date. It's not exuding masculine energy, guys. So you got to stop that. All right. So hopefully, guys, this helps you out. Let's see. We got a question in the chat here. The question is, should introverts care about what a woman wants or what they want? And then the other question is, do women find men attractive when they are not too focused on them and instead more focused on their goals? So I'll answer that one question at a time. So this guy's question, the first one is, should introverts care about what women want or what they want? Well, yeah, this is why I have a whole show on the channel. I'm trying to give you guys the insights on what it is that women actually want. But I'm doing it specifically from the confines of a lot of the stuff I talk about is the psychological stuff and the processes of dating. They're going to help because a lot of men's reason that they're failing is that they don't know the process of dating. Women are typically, it's not that women are well-versed in the process, it's just they know what feels right to them and what feels wrong. And so, for example, a guy texting a woman all the time, you would think she would like that. But to her, something just feels off about that. A guy trying to explain his feelings to her after 2 or 3 dates, that's something we wish would work. But for them, something just feels wrong about that. And so you have to know what women want in the sense of what processes do they want in terms of how they're dating a guy that's going to make them feel like they're able to naturally build attraction to him versus feeling forced into it. And so that's why I have a book like Stop Losing Women, and my texting book, and my book on how to get your ex back, and my book on the things not to do when dating, and why I have a whole Introvert Dating Success Membership Academy, because all these things are effectively telling you this is what women want and need from you. Now, I think men are thinking in terms of like, well, what do women need from me in terms of like what I bring to the table or how I show up? And those things are also important. But I found more interestingly, the process of dating, the process of being in a relationship and knowing how to show up, and then also knowing how to feel empathy for them, how to have things like emotional intelligence. These are really the things that are going to be the building blocks towards making her feel good, because we can bring a lot of things. We can bring money, six-pack abs, great job. But if we're not able to make her feel a connection and feel trusted and feel safe, then all the tangible things we're bringing to a relationship aren't going to matter to women, you know? So then the other question was, do women find men attractive when they are not too focused on them and instead more on more important goals? Well, you know, different women like different things, but I'll say this. I'll say that a man that is on his purpose is one that women typically tend to trust more. And part of that, honestly, is it's not just about the fact that a guy's going after a goal, right? That's very important, him having dreams and goals, but it's about the dedication part. Women will see a man going after a goal and see his dedication to that and his drive to that. And part of that drive means having to improve himself for the betterment of that goal. And then she'll correlate that with, and he's going to also do that in the relationship. He's going to work hard to keep me around. He's going to make sure that he's improving himself so that we have a connection. He's going to try to do things to keep us romantically bonded. And so if she's able to see you do that process for your goal, she can correlate that to you being able to do that for her. If you're not doing those things, then she has no visual evidence of you ever trying to stick to something, which could then make her think, and therefore he's not going to try to stick to this relationship if things go haywire and bad, you know? So that's why it's very important as a guy to really have goals that you're going after. Because here's the thing, your eyes need to be on goals, and then her eyes are going to be on you following those goals and seeing that it's for the betterment of you and also potentially for the relationship. And that's what's going to attract her. And then every so often when you're chasing your goals, you look back at her, and now she's going to be thinking, oh, look at that. He's going after his goals and is still managing to find time for me. And that's the thing. Women want to feel like you're finding time for them because now it says that you're making her a special priority, not your only priority. And where men have it mixed up is they think, I'm in this relationship, now she has to be my entire focus. And when you make women your entire focus, your eye's not on the ball of the relationship, or your eye's not on the ball for your goals, which means you're now potentially pushing away money and pushing away stability for her future and pushing away any semblance of her being able to see that you stick to stuff, including this relationship. And it can start to make her feel less trusting of you, and you can start to lose her as a result, all right? So that's why it's important as a guy to really stick to your goals and to have goals that you're doing, because women need to see that, feel that, and also need to feel like they're going to be your special distraction from that versus your entire distraction. So hopefully that helps you out. I think I got time for one more question here. Let's see. So here's a good question. So this guy said, he has a question. He said, occasionally I would get a girl's number or Snapchat at a bar. But when I go to text or Snapchat them the next day, they never answer me, always leaving me on delivered or read, even if we had a good time together with flirting or even making a make-out scene. They never respond, or if they do, after a while of texting or Snapchatting, I'd ask them out and they'd ghost me. Last night, I met another girl and there was a lot of attraction between us, just like all the other ones I've met. Some things that happened were, she kept hugging me. She said I smelled good. She said she loves my dimples. She stood really close to me at the bar. She would just stare at me for like 30 seconds when we were standing next to each other and start smiling. Was she flirting with me? There was a lot of closeness and laughter together. At the end of the night, I got her phone number before she left and she said, quote, text me anytime. Remember this part. She said, text me anytime. What does she mean by that? Text her anytime. What should I text her? She's friends with other friends we met up with and was on one of their Snapchat stories, and I added her on Snap, which again, guys, stop adding women to your social media early on. Let that be part of the getting together as a boyfriend and girlfriend process. Anyway, she added me back. Should I text her? Should I start Snapchatting her? Can I do both? I really need advice on what to do next because, as I mentioned, nothing ever happens with girls I meet, and I really want to see this one again. So let's see what his mistakes were, right? He said, again, early on that his typical process is he gets their numbers, and then he texts them. They never answer. They're always leaving on red, yada, yada, yada. So here's what I advise this guy to do, all right? I'm gonna advise him to not do what 97% of other guys, including him up to this point, typically do, which is this, that you do not, I repeat, you do not go on a texting spree with women when they've given you their number, Snapchat, Instagram, whatever. Because here's the mistake. Again, this is the problem with guys being so literal. Yes, there's actually a negative to us guys being so literal, is that we hear things and we are analyzing them through the lens of how we deal in the world. We are very literal creatures. So when we hear a woman say, text me anytime, what we take that as is the literal definition. She said, text her anytime, so I'm going to text her anytime. And I want to dispel to you right now, guys, that is not what women mean. When women say, text me anytime, she's assuming you are going to know enough about how texting works to only text her when you want to go on a date. Because this whole myth of I'm going to build attraction through rapport, it's bullcrap. You're going to build more attraction and build traction a lot faster when you're seeing her in person. So the mistake guys make is they're hearing text me anytime and thinking that means I need to just text her a bunch of bullcrap just to be in a conversation with her. But women want you to do purposeful texting. She gave you the number because she wants to see you. So where this guy's losing out is this. He gets the number and thinks, oh my God, I got the number. She said, text her anytime. I'm going to text her anytime. And then the first thing is he's probably texting her are like, hey, what's up? How's your day going? Man, great seeing you at the bar the other day. Oh my God, what things are you into? Blah, 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 blah. And then so dudes are doing this. And the woman's like, I've been through this before. This is not going to lead to a date because he's already asked me, hey, hi, how are you? How's your day going? And this is not leading to a date. So I don't want to answer back until this guy asks me for a date. And most guys never get to ask me for the date. And it's sad. So as a guy, if you meet a girl out and about, you meet her at a party, you get a number from online dating or from Instagram, whatever like that, when women are giving you numbers and saying things like, hey, text me anytime, text me whatever, they don't mean that literally. Again, women communicate based on feelings. So even their words are being said based on how they're feeling in the moment. So in that moment, what she's saying is, this guy's so vibrant, I can see myself being around him all the time. That does not mean that you actually go and text her all the time so you can be around her all the time. What that means is you wait a couple of days, hit her up, say, hey, I'm the dude from the bar, great time the other night. I had this other place I was going to go to try this food, was hoping to take you with me. Let me know when you're free. You're purposely texting. You're only using texting in order to set up dates with women. I got a whole book on my website called Texting Like a Boss. It's basically 21 texting commandments. A big one is you are texting her to get the date. Now, there are other various ways you can go about texting that could possibly build attraction or have her in your good graces. But the main thing is that you're texting women to get dates. Okay. So if you guys are out there doing all this extra, hey, how are you? Blah, 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 blah. That is texting you can do once you're actually near, close to, or practically in a relationship with her. But during the building blocks, when you're just dating her and going out, or are you trying to get dates from her, doing all this frivolous texting, that's where 97% of you dudes are losing out. So when you get the number, you just wait and you hit her up to ask her for a date. If you're having a good banter with her in person and then you're texting her and she's not responding back, chances are you're probably doing frivolous texting. Stop doing frivolous texting. It's one of the many ways that you're losing women. All right. So that's all I got for today's show, guys. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of content, subscribe to this channel, like this video. Go to the website, introvertdatingsuccess.com. You can sign up for one-on-one coaching. I also got ebooks, audiobooks, and programs, all designed to help you date as your introverted self while still getting your precious alone time, all right? I'll be back next Tuesday at 5 o'clock with another show. In the meantime, during the week, guys, feel free to leave your comments on videos because I answer them on these specific shows. If you have a more dire need that you want answered like right away, then definitely sign up for the one-on-one coaching at the website. That's it. That's all I got for today. I am HarryWilmington, and I will catch you guys on the next show. I'm out. Peace.
Call this beat Will Smith, cause it slaps hard. Hear it not when I pull up on your boulevard. Ain't got no rims spinning, ain't got no chain blinging, but I got money, you can tell by all